here, so would love to find out if everyone can A, hear me, and B, where everyone's dialing in from today, how you're doing in your middle of your week. Hello, Carol. And New Jersey. How are you enjoying the sticky heat that we have in the Northeast area right now? It's pretty nice in the sun, I'll tell you that. It's like a microwave. Deborah in Dallas, well, I'm sure you've got heat down there as well. Wada, I know it's nice in Toronto right now. Cabo, how about that? Jenny, are you on vacation or are you down there full time? Husband's at the beach. Snow in New Zealand. We don't miss those days right now in New York. We had a nice long cold winter. How long have you been down there for, Jenny? By the way, I love having a conversation with my screen. It's just so much fun. Robin in Santa Fe. Very nice. So I'm cool beans with starting early or ahead of schedule. If people want to raise their hand and ask any question, go right ahead into the chat box. I noticed last week actually that for as many people as we had on the call, there wasn't that many questions that came through, which is surprising to me. Why would you not ask a question? Another cool foggy summer day. Janelle, yeah, but when September, October, November rolls around, you guys are locked into an awesome late summer. Joanne, I was just in Calgary. I took my little girls to the Stampede for the very first time, and they could have probably hung out in the horse barn for 2 days straight. Sherry, you asked, should I be transferring the daily tasks on the app to a daily calendar with my other tasks? You can do it either way. I mean, right now, like I said before, like the app is in beta form. I mean, we'll have it in the future where you can, either print those off. I think that feature is being released in the next couple of days, maybe. I don't want to overspeak myself because I was just talking to the head of development yesterday. But so you can do that. You can transfer it, like you said. You could put your tasks inside of the app, maybe right now too, because we just rolled out the feature where you can kind of just add a new task straight into your kind of daily dashboard area if you needed to do something that day. So, but again, it's completely up to you. Whatever kind of works with how you structure and kind of work your day. Sorry to hear that, Anita. Sorry, can't do anything about that. Sure thing, Sherry. Now, I know someone just raised their hand, but they just disappeared on me, so don't know if that was a glitch. Deborah, all right. It is 3 o'clock on the dot, so I am going to give you the voice. By the way, when I say give you the voice, it's because that's what the little app says in their hand. Yes, Janelle, you got that right. There should be, at the very top of your daily dashboard where you have your list of goals and tasks for the day, the process stuff, you can add in a new process goal or task just for the day. All right. Deborah.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. Okay, success is ours. Actually, this is a little bit outside of the realm of what we have talked about in previous conversations or that I have seen in the forum, but my particular firm works primarily with independent contractors who are agents who sell our financial products. Okay. I am working with them. One of the difficulties or challenges, I should say, opportunities to improve when I first arrived here was in establishing policy and procedures. And one of the first things that I've been trying to implement has been good reporting so that I can see what's being done during the week, how successful they're doing it, what products are working better than others, what mistakes we're having issues with. But I have met with great resistance from my independent contractors to work on that reporting. And I know that things are improving, but I just wondered if you had any, other than threats. I don't think threats are helpful. I'd like to find some way to positively motivate them. And I just wondered if you had any kind of words of wisdom to share.
Sure. So, what you're talking about is change management, and anytime we're trying to implement new things, almost everything in life is change management. And then when we get inside of it, that's, by the way, that's like a keyword term that is used inside of corporate. And
yes,
there's no reason.
I've used it many times.
And there's no reason why we can't use it for small business, because at the end of the day, for as much as small businesses like to say they're very much against corporate, that's essentially the structure that you're trying to build anyway. What we're against is just bureaucracy and having a bunch of bloat inside of a business or middle management that doesn't need to be there. But having said that, when I was typically how people roll out a program to whether it's independent contractors or whether it's in-house to the staff is the executives sit in their quote unquote ivory tower, because that's the perception of people below, and they make their decisions on what's good for the company, and they don't engage the people below them. And then they just sort of come down and say, oh, but this is the new way of doing things. Now, the experience of people in the middle part of the organization, or independent contractors, or consultants, whatever the term is that a person wants to use, is that, oh, well, this is the flavor of the month. This month they're going to implement, the XYZ program, and then that is going to get scuttled 3 months from now, and they're going to implement a new program 3 months from now. That's the most important thing inside the organization, and because that's typically how a lot of organizations run. And when I was doing a bunch of work in Denmark with Dong, and D-O-N-G, which is the Danish oil and natural gas company. So I was living in Copenhagen for a little while, and in Norway, they had the absolute best corporate structure I've ever seen, and also the best and most successful rollout program for programs that I'd seen as well. And what they did was they always engaged everybody inside the organization throughout the entire process. Anytime a new update or a change was happening, and this is before the rollout even started, they'd first create discussions on to, hey, this is the need. This is the problem that we have inside of the company. This is what we think will maybe help solve it. We're looking at this type of solution, but you're the people who execute. What do you think? Like, are we missing something? Are we making any errors in our judgment? And they would just engage all of the different subgroups inside of the company, and they would have discussions about it, and they would collect that information, and they would, the people that were sort of rolling out the program or looking at spearheading this would look at that and come back and say, okay, this is what we think we heard. Did we get it wrong? Did we make assumptions again? And they would get that. And that's, so there was like a pre-onboarding for the onboarding. Okay. And then they would roll it out globally with phenomenal success. And this was the leadership program that I developed, that Shell has, that Chevron has, that all these really big natural resource companies have. And Dong did the absolute best job of rolling it out. Chevron probably came in second. But so that's one way of doing it. You engage everybody throughout, which I highly recommend. And then the other way is to create a beta program and just ask for a few of your people to raise their hand, because you've got a program or you have a new initiative that you want to roll out to just a couple of key people, just to see how it is for success-wise. A lot of people, you're surprised how many people raise their hand and want to do it, because it's a feather in their cap. It's, just even getting recognized to do it is one way of doing it. And then you get that beta program, you see the kind of where the wrinkles are, and then you launch it to everybody with kind of refinements that you would have.
Fantastic. That's great information. I've been working to do that. I can see certain improvement on my side. I could do that better.
Yeah, and then the third one is don't underestimate the power of a word. So you had said when you were rolling a program that you're trying to, what's the thing you're trying to roll out again? There's a word that you used.
It's reporting so that we
Yeah.
can see what's being done.
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember back in the maybe it was early 2000s, maybe late 90s. There is in the United States there is a estate tax that's been out for a long time. Okay.
Yes.
Now the Republicans, they have a particular guy that's in their back pocket who's out of Florida who does nothing but tons of just in-depth market research, and what he's trying to find is the one talking point that if the Republican Party could use it, would really help shift public perception and opinion. So they had been trying to get rid of the estate tax for a very long time, which always met with a lot of resistance, obviously, because when you think of who the voting public is, they don't have an estate. They have I'm getting by. I'm barely paying my bills. Okay.
Right.
Which is just a misperception of what estate is, but that's because we don't have a typically very educated market or public. So what they found, or what in their research, when you take a look at what the estate tax is, it's basically the estate tax kicks in when someone dies. So instead of calling it the estate tax, what do they call it nowadays?
The death tax.
They call it the death tax, exactly. And just by simply shifting the words, it's the exact same thing. Behind those two words, estate tax and death tax, is the exact same meaning. Nothing's changed, zero at all. And yet when they changed the name to death tax, how much did they get a public approval of that?
They got no public approval of that.
Not public approval, and it went through, right? So the point of this little quip is that the words that you use to sort of talk about something are important. So instead of salespeople, which is essentially what you have, that you're talking about, your independent consultants, they don't like reporting. In fact, their experience of reporting, whether it's insurance agents, whether it's real estate agents, whether it's any sales professional, is the organization typically makes me fill out way too much damn paperwork, and I'm paid to sell. I'm supposed to be out there selling, but what you're asking me to do is fill out a bunch of paperwork, and that doesn't bring in the money. So when you say that you want to roll out a new reporting thing, in my head, if I'm a salesperson, I'm like, oh, great, more paperwork for me to do. So if there's a way of repositioning that word that automatically slips past the goalie that's sitting in our heads saying, better stop that, I don't want that, and instead they go, it's more accepting. Think about that.
All right.
And whether that's the, whether you call it the high performance protocol, the just some sort of status type word that connotes that it's going to deliver the result that everyone's looking for, which is typically more clients and more money. And so, I mean, it could be something as simple as the more money, the more clients, the more money, performance system.
Great idea. Great idea. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's all I do. I just ship out good ideas all the time.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. That's a huge help.
Yeah, and then loop back around. Let me know how it goes. Okay.
I'll do that.
Thanks, Deborah.
Thank you.
I have got absolutely no one in the queue right now for questions. There has got to be someone out there. Now, while I'm waiting, I am going to go to Riki's question. I know she's got a buggered up voice right now, and I will answer her question that she sent in ahead of time. So, just for background, Riki is a career change consultant for corporate professionals. Her key 90-day project is designing, marketing, and launching her first online program and start building a proper list as opposed to an improper list. She's going to use Facebook ads to generate awareness online. And her question is, can you please elaborate on the Entrepreneurial Scorecard Module 2 when it comes to the number of hours worked and the whole work/life balance issue versus just the value of our hours. I'm pleased to say that I've spent most of the week on super high value activities, but I'm still working long hours, raising my hand. I do tend to overwork, full stop, / I'm a type A person. As we're talking about sprints, and I have plenty to do now and know exactly what with the 90-day app. How do I make sure I turn your epic system into a supportive system rather than a baseball bat to make my type A personality cram even more high value activities in? Please don't just say outsourcing. I'm talking about balancing the doing of the stuff only. I can / should do. Thanks, Todd. So, good question. So the third module that's coming out this weekend, the product protocol, will hopefully help give you clarity on that very question. And this comes down to a mindset thing as well. And I've talked about this many times on podcasts. I pretty much bring it up every single podcast because it's sort of my stump speech where I'm talking to people about, we've been told for a very long time that life is about being, life's ultimate pursuit is about being happy. And I fantastically disagree with that. And there's a reason why I'm saying this to you, Riki. So my experience of many high performing people, whether they're type A or not, because type A people don't have the corner on the market when it comes to high performers by any stretch, but is they are drawn to want to really have a life that has exceptional meaning to not just themselves or their family, but maybe making a big impact on their industry. And so they're driven by that. Their goal isn't about being happy. And I want to make that distinction because what I want to make sure that you're not trying to answer for with that question is that hey, how can I be a hard driver, not drive myself into the ground, but then also be happy and satisfied? I fall into this category that I'm talking about. Like my pursuit every single day isn't about being happy. I pursue one thing, and that's value. I've shared the quote before about, Albert Einstein says, "Don't be a seeker of success, but instead be a seeker, but instead be a person of value." And I share that because a lot of people say that they have a fear of success, but if I don't use that word, just substitute in value. Because no one ever fears being more valuable. But so to answer your question, not that I'm trying to tell you that you should be cramming in a whole bunch of important activities, but if your natural disposition is to really bring as much value to other people as possible, don't try and optimize against that because you're fundamentally denying basically how you're built. Like Elon Musk, the founder of one of the founders of PayPal, the founder of Tesla, the last thing he's probably thinking about every single day is whether or not he's happy. By proxy of him putting in all this effort to build these and solve these major problems in humanity is that he's probably very satisfied. Now, I don't know him personally, but even me, like for the 90-year program to launch it and get it off the ground with absolutely no list whatsoever, it takes a lot of effort and work. But it's exceptionally gratifying to get like the email that I got today from Peter Swanson that I shared inside the group regarding just the impact that it's made on his business. That's very satisfying to me. Now, if I had to work a whole bunch of hours to get to that, I don't mind. I don't care. So to answer your question, there probably is no right answer for that. But if you also make sure that inside of your days, you're also prioritizing those other activities that give you great satisfaction as well. Like for me, my next 5 years is about learning to master the ukulele. That's what I want to do. I'm very much inspired by Steve Martin, the great comedian and actor, where he at a very young age decided that he was going to make every single decade of his life about something, where he would change. So for the first, I think his 20s to 30s was all about trying to master comedy. The 30s to the 40s was all about trying to master being an actor. 40s to 50s was about mastering, I think, either art or music, because he's a very accomplished painter as well. And so he themed out an entire decade. Now I'm talking about theming out 90 days, but he takes it kind of that sort of long-term view. And I follow a very similar approach when it comes to my 20s and 30s was trying to master as many possible facets of business as I possibly could. So, I mean, Ricky, you can say in the comments whether or not this is helping at all. But again, module 3 should help out put a lens over top. Okay, so it's more of the health perspective too. So then in order for you to make sure that the health thing happens, if that's a major priority, then that should be filled in at the very beginning of your day. And I mean, that's why I asked the question. I mean, it's not accidental that I'm asking people those 5 performance pillars that are inside the program. There's a reason that they're there. It's because I've been on the field to play for freaking 20 years working with people, and it's just those are the 5 things that truly, truly do matter. And on the happiness side of things, the biggest indicator of a person's happiness is the tribe thing, is your social tribe. There is no bigger indicator. And I'm not saying that from my own experience. There's a massive Harvard study that was done on that for decades upon decades upon decades. And that was the #1 hallmark about who led a truly satisfying life was people who had the strongest relationships around them. So it should be filling your day. So like for myself, a major priority for the very beginning of my day is not a major priority. It's an absolute ritual for me, is making sure I get 20 minutes. Well, 10 minutes is the sort of the good part, but 20 minutes of meditation in every single morning. And there's a whole host of amazing reasons why you want to do that. But that's a health thing for me. And then the second thing, because relationships are so important to me and I know the value of them, is that I write a handwritten letter every single day and have for 16 plus years now. I was just talking about it today with Jenny Hong, who's in the program. She signed up for the one-on-one stuff, and I told her that I think I'm up to 4,131 personal letters that have been written since I started doing that, because I do it 5 days a week, and it's the first thing I do every single morning. So now I've gotten the health thing out of the way. I have my relationships. Part of a very big indicator for me as success is getting that out of the way, and then I move on to whatever my priorities are for that day. So again, if that didn't answer the question, Riki, let me know. But you're not the only one. I mean, I live in New York City here, and there are more hard-charging type A personalities here, and ambition is what New York City is all about, because you don't move here for a high quality of life, I'll tell you that much, because unless you have a good amount of money, it's not the best place for people. And so you better come here with a goal and a dream, because it's a great place to pursue it, because you're around nothing but inspiring people who are doing the exact same thing. So Sherry, I'm going to unlock you here. So make sure I'm not missing any questions that sort of thing. Hello, Sherry.
On. Can you hear me?
I sure can. How are you today?
Okay. I'm having, I guess, a really hard time figuring out, to a certain extent, what my goals for the 2 weeks should be, in that the things that kind of have to get done right now are only tangential to my actual, well, my long-term goal, and since I'm 68, it's not a real long term, is to get enough, hopefully, passive income that I can slow down the hours. And I don't do that well. I tend to be at the computer from about 9 o'clock in the morning until 11 o'clock at night, with breaks for meals. But I'm not always working. I bead, I spin. I'm also taking a whole bunch of both business courses and art courses right now. And they are to give me, I guess, a little bit more direction to starting my own Photoshop classes, and possibly membership group is what I would like to work toward.
Okay.
But I guess I'm having a really hard time of seeing the big picture from all of these little pieces of things that I need to do.
Yeah. So do you have a vision of where you're trying to go to, Sherry?
Well, I would like by the end of this year to have open for registration my very first Photoshop class aimed at pattern designers.
Okay, so when I'm talking about a vision, that's more kind of that's what I would call like a goal.
Okay.
I mean, I've talked about before that anything beyond 90 days, I would probably typically classify as a vision. But you know, the end of this year is pretty tight anyway. It's pretty
Mhm.
close. So 90 days is the farthest out that I have goals set for. And then I have like a vision of where the purpose, the mission of where a business or I'm trying to take myself. So what is to make it even maybe ask a different way of asking the question, what is Sherry going to be about 3 years from now?
Alive, I hope.
Okay, well, we're going to assume that that's automatic, and it's going to be the same answer if it was 22 years from now. Okay, so whether it's Sherry at 71 or Sherry at 90, it doesn't matter. But when someone is going to describe who Sherry is in the online space, okay, because that's how Sherry has gotten herself out there, what are they going to say to describe who and what you are about?
Probably that I am a Photoshop expert, which has been my persona back since the early 90s,
Okay,
and a surface pattern designer. I'd like to be known as a teacher and a helper. But I
you
would
would like to
also
be known as you'd be like to be known as a what and a
a
helper?
teacher and a helper.
Okay, so Sherry London is a Photoshop expert, and she's amazing at really teaching and guiding you along the way of becoming very competent at Photoshop.
Yes.
Okay, so we've kind of talked about it before when it comes to niching things down.
Hmm.
Now, Photoshop is still is very much a specific niche, but then even inside of the context of Photoshop, there are people who are experts at like maybe like very small
Right.
parts of that program, right? And
Yes.
and and that is typically like instead of you going out and building a Photoshop course,
Right.
what I would probably do is how to master the art of shading and depth in Photoshop.
Well, the first course that I want to do is about how to get rid of this little white line in your
Perfect.
class, Illustrator file. So my target audience within Photoshop are really the surface pattern designers. They don't do
Okay.
photography necessarily, which is the huge class of people in Photoshop.
Okay.
And they're more, if anything, traditional artists looking for a way to get their art into something that they can sell to a manufacturer or to license or to put as textiles.
Mm-hmm.
So there are some very specific things that this audience needs, and
Yeah.
that's really where I'm aiming.
Okay. And
My
then so is that? But here's my next question: is that audience big enough to make money from?
that I'm not 100% sure about.
Okay. So here's what you can do. Like, I mean, you can create a class that teaches how to get rid of that white line in your Illustrator files, and then you can use examples from surface pattern design in order to kind of show how that's done. But I wouldn't say how to get rid of the white line in your surface pattern design Illustrator files.
Okay, right.
Right. So instead, you're gonna go after a very tight thing, which is the white line. And then if surface pattern designers show up, great. But then there might be people who are in photography show up because the process is the exact same,
Hmm.
right? And so you keep the kind of funnel open a lot larger than if you just say the surface pattern designers, because until you actually know what that number is, like if I knew that surface pattern designers was a big enough niche for me to like make a great income from, then great. Like, I mean, if you were making, say, $85,000 a year in leveraged income, I'll say leveraged because I don't like the word passive, in leveraged income, meaning you're leveraging the internet to distribute your brain power, your knowledge onto the internet. Would you be really satisfied with that number, Sherry?
I would be more than satisfied.
Okay, great. So let's say that's the best goal for Sherry right now is to hit that $85,000 mark. Now I knew that I could more than exceed that with that market. Then great. Then I will name my programs to target specifically those people. But if I don't know that, I probably won't in the beginning. I'll keep it tight. I'll go tight with the technical knowledge, which is the white line thing, and then and then I might market it to those people, but I'll let other people come in as well. And I saw, Sherry, that you had done some research and you had mentioned inside of Facebook about Skillshare and how the average person earns $200 from the program, and the best people have earned $30,000 from the program. That's a very misleading stat, because I don't know if you were on that Google Hangout that I did on the very last day.
No, that was I'd gotten that from Skillshare. That's their information.
No, I know it is. But what I'm saying is don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because the very first person I had on that Google Hangout that I did on the last day of the launch was Matan Griffel, who started out, he owns onemonth.com, which is a multi-million-dollar teaching platform now, teaching coders and or coders, typically people learning Ruby on Rails and Java and things like that, how to actually become competent in them. But he started out teaching a course on Skillshare, and I can tell you he made more than $30,000 on that course.
Okay.
And he made a lot more. And what you're doing is you're thinking that, oh, all I'm going to make is $30,000 from that program, tops maybe. But you're forgetting that other people are going to, after they take the program, are going to want to come back to you, and because there's a messaging system inside the application where they're going to ask you to, hey, how can I do this? And now you can maybe launch another program. You don't put it inside of Skillshare. Now you put it on your own website, but you've built a list leveraging the other platform, right? I'm not saying that you put every program inside of that, Sherry, but I'm saying for someone like you who is 68 years of age and doesn't have all of the resources available possibly to you. I mean, I'm not making an assumption here, but I'm probably going to guess that you're not a fantastic WordPress coder who's in a day can have a membership website up.
No, but believe it or not, my master's degree happens to be information systems, and I've done programming.
Yeah,
and my husband is an ace programmer.
There you go. So I'm glad I'm not making too many assumptions, but what I'm saying is that's the fastest path,
right?
Is to leverage some of these other things. Some people, if you operate it right, and now it doesn't. Now what I'm saying is, automatically as soon as you put it up there, are people going to show up? No, you still need to learn to market off of the platform, and that's where the people that are the most successful win. Is they drive traffic to their programs. And then the great thing is the moment that you start to get traction, Skillshare starts featuring it. They start tweeting it out. They start Facebooking, putting up on Facebook, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So,
okay, the things that I did not know about Skillshare that I did want to find out were whether you could get a list, which is you're saying you can, and whether it's possible to put a course out on your site and on Skillshare, or they have an exclusive.
Skillshare doesn't have an exclusive. From the last time I checked, they might have changed their policies, but as far as I'm aware, they don't. And even if they did have an exclusive, who cares? So maybe you do the beginner's version of take the white line off of the thing, but then you have a more advanced one that is teaching multiple more skill sets.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, this gives me a better idea, but I guess I'm still trying to figure out how quickly to move myself. I worked all my first week's goals perfectly, racked up both wrists, and I've been sitting here looking at my wrists for the past 3 weeks because I can't type.
So what was the question?
I guess the question, really very close to what Ricky had said, is how much do you push yourself, or do you try to give yourself a little bit of slack when you schedule?
Oh, I always under schedule. I always have a lot of flexibility in my day to make the moves if things prop up that I can so that I'm nimble essentially. like I had talked about that in the Entrepreneur Scorecard version when I talked about one of the frustrations, and I had a slide come up where it was basically a Google Calendar where every single color and every single moment of every single day was accounted for in a meeting or something like that. That's not productivity by any stretch of the imagination. It's not. This idea that having, your entire calendar filled up is a source of pride is just silly because, I happen to consult and coach and advise some very, very wealthy people, and that would be the last metric that they would ever judge against success. Now, are they busy throughout the day? Yes. But they're not overscheduled like that. So again, at the end of the day, what matters is, are you working on important activities that are going to drive your business forward? And I'm not saying 100% of your time has to be that way, because I get it. There are things in the business that need to be maintained, that need to be continued to be worked on. But are you getting in at least 2 hours? That would be a huge goal for many of you. If you had 2 hours of high quality work done to move the business forward, to work on the business in your day, you are just so much further ahead than everybody else. 2 hours, that would be the threshold.
That is a great metric to know.
Yeah, so because here's what the metric is. Typically for business owners, it's about 28 minutes. The typical business owner provides 28 minutes of value activities to their business every single day. That's it.
Do you classify things like getting your social media little ducks in line, getting the website up to a level that you want to see it? Is that moving your business forward if part of your business is trying to build an audience online?
Well, yeah. Okay, so if it wasn't about building the audience online, then I would say no, because if anyone, I've said this before, if anyone goes to the Wayback Machine and looked up any of my Todd Herman stuff online, even just 4 months ago, it was appalling and grotesque. But I don't care. I never built my business online. I had multi-million-dollar companies offline. It didn't matter. And the funny thing is all these internet marketing type online business entrepreneurs came to me anyway, even though they found, because the nature of a lot of the online people is they want to do research about you online, and then they find very little about you, and they're like, well, who is this person? I'm like, well, I have a name in a certain circle, and I don't care if it's not your circle. Mm-hmm. But if you want to work with a high performance coach, a true high performance coach, then there's myself, and then I have about 4 other friends that I would refer people to if I wasn't the right fit. So it all comes down to your campaign. If your next 90-day campaign is all about building up your online platform, then it comes down to, okay, well, what's my strategy going to be? Well, your website might not mean anything, Sherry. You might not need a website. And in fact, most people don't need websites. What we need are collection areas to grab people's information while I'm running them through some sort of promotion. So you don't need a website, Sherry, if you're trying to drive Facebook ads onto a landing page. What you need is a landing page. That's not a website. Everyone's perception of what a website is if you went to toddherman.me, that's what everyone's perception of. You don't need that. I don't need toddherman.me. It doesn't matter. But if I wanted to capture people's names and emails so I could send them, I'm writing out a guide right now, the definitive guide on finding a mentor. Because I get that question all the time. How do I find a mentor? How do I reach out to a mentor? Well, I'm writing a guide right now that will sit as evergreen for the next 25 years on exactly how to do that and the mindset to have when you're going after a mentor. So you don't need the website. But getting to your point, do you need to build all your social media platforms? No. In fact, I would very much sort of recommend against that. I would pick 1, 2, at the very most 3, and I probably wouldn't even go there. Where are your customers sitting? Are they on YouTube? Because you're in a visual medium. Are they on YouTube? Are they on Pinterest? Are they on Instagram? Where are they? And then that's where I would build my audience is there.
My customers are mostly in Facebook closed groups to which I belong.
Okay.
And a few LinkedIn forums. And then they share between blogs and Pinterest and Instagram. some of what's going on. But I feel like I can't make a dent. How do I get people to even sign my list if they don't have a reason to? And if
Well,
they don't know about me, how do they have a reason to?
well, they don't need to know about you. They'll find out about you once you give them a reason to know about you, right? Once you solve a problem for them. So what is their problem? You already outlined it, and it is that you outlined one of their problems. So find their problems and solve them for them.
Yes, but how do I let them know about the solution other than through social media?
Well, you can do it with Facebook groups. You can do it with paid advertising. You can do it with commenting on other authority type sites. You can do it by peeling out some of the content that's inside of the actual program and leveraging that content on someone else's big authority type blog and or magazine. There could be podcasts that are out there that and there definitely are. There's not art, but there's Photoshop podcasts that are out there. There's no endless amount of opportunities on how to do that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're very welcome, Sherry. And then let me know how it's all going.
I will.
Okay. All right, Michael Wadden. I'm just going to check out, see if there's any questions in here that came through.
Todd, can you hear me okay?
I can, Mr. Wadden. How are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Good stuff.
So last time we chatted, I was in the process of, my number one focus was recruiting a director, a head of online digital and sales for us.
Yes.
And that has gone incredibly well. I found out that there's a software firm, one of the top marketing automation software companies is actually officed right next to the owner of my company's, his office. They're called Entreport. And I marched in and I met with the head of business development. I told him, what I was looking for, and I was wondering if, somewhere in the pool of his customers might be this candidate that I'm looking for. And I said I'd be happy to convert to Entreport, as part of this. That's no problem. And he said, great, because they want to stimulate local customers and so forth. So the funny thing, the next day in my email box was an email from their head of, well, I can't, got to keep it somewhat confidential. Someone internally, though, It got circulated around. She raised her hand for the position, and I met with her literally that afternoon. Had an offer letter out to her 24 hours later. So things really happened quickly, and I'm thrilled about that.
That's outstanding.
Yeah, I haven't onboarded her yet, but so that's almost like check off my list. But one of the things that I'm always curious about is this whole online marketing, and I know enough to be very dangerous because I owned a small SEO firm on the side as I was a partner, but it's this whole list building thing, and I have a list right now of customers that's a couple thousand, but we just fatigue them. I think we just blast them every holiday for promotions. We don't mine them. We don't give them any real nice value. And so I'm just wondering, is there a way that even with my new hire, that I can take this current online customer list, because we do most of our sales through retail today, and I'm looking to reverse that, to create basically a much bigger direct-to-consumer presence. And so I've got this nice little nucleus of 2,400 customers today, a list. What would you recommend that something that I could do to get a kind of a quick win, to take that list and really provide a lot of value, to those? Some of them aren't, they bought maybe a few times and stopped buying, and then some of them are probably our best customers, right, on that list.
Okay.
What's something though that I could do to kind of grow that? And I have an affiliate program. Again, it's recently launched, but any ideas on something I can do to kind of get a quick win with this customer list that I own?
So when you say quick win, do you mean kind of engender a better relationship with them?
So yeah, something where these are customers where they're like, Jesus, I like this product maybe, but I don't have any relationship with this company. And so it's something where, wow, interesting. They just sent me some valuable information, right? I kind of like that. And I'll think about buying their product more. And also something that I could get this new director kind of get her teeth sunk into, so she also gets to better know who our customers are right out of the gates.
Yeah.
And so I'd like to, I want to, I think there's a lot of learnings to come out of this too. It's like, what do our customers like about our products?
Yeah. So, with regards to the list itself, obviously giving them some sort of, so what's the product name that you're in? Or like, what's the product category?
It's a category. It's a personal lubricant. It's the only all organic FDA cleared personal lubricant in the market. So it's it's for sex and intimacy, but also vaginal moisturizer for women, and that's the category.
Okay,
it's called Aloe Cadabra.
So I would have never guessed that today we're going to start talking about how to produce content for this type of thing. Typically, like there's a marketer out there. His name is Dean Jackson, and I think he's one of the smartest people that's out there. He runs a podcast with another guy, Joe Polish, called the I Love Marketing podcast. But Dean Jackson comes from the real estate sort of marketing niche, and he is very, very good at articulating. He's just a smart guy, but he has something that he teaches called the 9-word email, which I think if you just even Googled, if everyone just Googled 9-word email, it's a great way of engaging a list, because it's essentially a very friendly email. And so what it would look like is someone signs up for, I'm going to use my business, my sports business as an example. We use it all the time. So if someone opted in at thepeakathlete.com, an email that we have sent out that's purely via autoresponder is, hey, Mike.
Hey, how are you?
Good. So one of the emails that gets sent out is just like, so let's say they're on the list for a little while, but they haven't bought anything or they haven't engaged at all. But you opted in because you were opting in for, say, some sort of like mental toughness type thing. So the email would say, hey, Mike, it's Todd from the Peak Athlete. I just wanted to touch base and see if you're still interested in developing your mental toughness. Question mark. Dash Todd. And so the email looks like I'm supposed to reply back to it, which I do want that. I want them to reply back. So we had sent out a similar email like that to, I think it was about 15,000 people. I think we had about 986 responses from that email. And we responded to every single one. But I mean, some of them are like, no, I'm not. So then they just unsubscribe. Great. Some people are like, oh my God, thank you so much for emailing. I'm just going into a tournament and I need blah, blah, blah. And so, it gives either myself or the team a chance to reply back to them with a solution for them. So for you, like what's the thing that someone might be, whatever the thing is that someone might be trying to solve with your product, you can send them just a quick little engagement email with them to find out. Or you do the other approach, which is to send someone obviously a value-packed piece of content that's all about either one, building awareness for the need of the product and what's out there, two, increasing the interest level of the actual product. 3, ramping up desire for the want of the product. And I probably wouldn't go, this is following a classic ADA formula, attention, interest, desire, action. You can, any communication that you ever put on the web, whether it's articles, blogs, or videos, are all about one of those 4 things. Like if someone is first engaging with Todd at the very first time, I'm trying to build awareness. That's what, in the first video in the sequence for the Next Level Business Navigator, that's all about awareness. I'm building awareness to the 5 levels of business and what's happening at each of those levels. Does that build interest at the same time? Of course it does, but my sole focus is to build awareness. I need to build in why this is important, why someone needs to be paying attention. So your first engagement emails with this list again, to kind of build up rapport again with them, should be about either awareness or interest, sending out content that's backed behind one of those 2 things. And I mean, folks, I'm all about simple stuff. Like, you don't need to overcomplicate any of your content with the millions of different strategies that are out there. At the end of the day, you're either doing one of those 4 things. You're either getting awareness, you're building awareness, because that's someone who's new. They don't even know that this is a problem that's out there possibly, or that there's even a solution to it. Building interest for it, building desire for the product, and then the final one is obviously taking action for it. So, but I would typically either, 1, re-engage the list with an open, just a question. Say like I said before, hey, you came to us because you possibly, depending on what their opt-in bribe was, because you were looking to possibly solve this thing. Hey, have you had a chance to solve it yet? And if they say, no, I'm still shopping around, great. That tells you that in your email sequencing, you didn't do a very good job of building up the desire part or the interest part. There's a gap somewhere in your marketing there. Okay? Because after someone builds up awareness, I mean, even for me, for as much as everyone who's building up funnels, just so you guys know, when you're building up funnels online and you're doing a launch sequence, not everyone is just only doing those things. I mean, even a lot of you, I mean, Mike, you might have done it as well. Like, so you opt in for this Todd guy's thing, and then you go, I wonder who he is. So you go and do a Google search on this Todd guy, and you might find a couple of podcasts about him, or there's a couple of articles, or there might be a newspaper, or whatever the is, or there might be nothing. And people do the exact same thing. You built awareness. Now they're like, I'm interested in that person or what they have to say. I wonder if they're legit. Now they're looking at credibility type stuff that's out there. So the more and more you can get your products out there where, other people are doing reviews on them, okay, now that lends to the credibility side of things. And then they look at comparison. Okay, how good is this product versus this other product? That's all a part of the path of any customers. Like even me, like people are like, do I spend $2,000 on this Todd guy, or is there something less expensive or cheaper or better than him? That's there, or better than the 90-day year program, whatever the promise is. So, does that help? Does that answer anything, Mike?
It does. Do people care at all about new websites? If we were to, kind of as part of relaunching our new site, is that at all part of an interest? And would people go check it out, or not really?
No, not unless there's something new there that's going to give them value. Right. Because that's a you focused thing. That's not a them focused thing. Like if you, again, it's just what can I do to to provide that customer value and to engender them to the brand itself.
Well, I wrote down start with a question. So that got me thinking that it's easy for me to parse the list so I know exactly who bought it how many times, and I can tell who hasn't bought in quite a while and who has bought recently, and that can change the dialogue and the question.
Sure, totally.
Ask. And so I think that's good.
Yeah. Start with that, and I mean, I would love to see. I mean, even whether you private message it or whatever, I'd love to see what the question would be that you come up with too.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers.
Appreciate it.
You bet, Mike. Cheers.
Yep.
Okay, I know Trevinia, you asked the question inside of here. I've got a house full of girls here, so I'm not going to raise my hand. I am the central person in my business, the face. I meet with clients and VAs and make the matches myself. Of course, my bandwidth is limited as we continue to grow. How do you suggest outsourcing what I view as the most critical part of my business? How do I scale me? Well, the only other, because of the type of business that you're building for yourself, or you built for yourself, the other way of sort of outsourcing, or what you're doing is you're talking about your kind of knowledge capital stuff, is you either build a system around yourself and you train, which is what you're trying to do. I know that. You train other people on how to be Travinia. How do you deliver value that way? Or B, you productize yourself, so then you start creating, essentially products around what you know as being a successful virtual assistant or building a team of people. As long as you're going to continue to build a brand, or you continue to use your face as the and I don't see you as, because I know, by the way, folks, I know Travinia, so I don't really see you as that way. You're seeing yourself that way. I know that you're still working with, client, and you kind of want to avoid that, but you're not trying to necessarily scale yourself. It's how do you scale the business? And yeah, I get what you mean. I didn't, but I'll be honest, I didn't come to you with help because you're Travinia, honestly. It was a recommendation from someone else that you had a service that had a solution that I wanted. And so that's why I chose it. I didn't choose it to work with you. So again, it's just like any classic business. Do you have marketing and sales processes built in so that Travinia doesn't have to do all the work? Yes or no? What's that conversation look like when you're talking to a potential customer? Can someone else do the same thing? I know for a fact they can. You might think that they can't, but they absolutely can. So, in the comments, let me know if this is helping at all, because it's still kind of vague. Just scrolling down here before I get to Dimitri, see if there's any questions that I missed. Oh, by the way, the one thing I wanted to point out about Michael there was that, and I talked about it just on a couple of calls that I had in the last couple of days. I talked about it all this time. Folks, relationships win. Everyone's trying to leverage internet and take away the face-to-face of things, but I'll tell you what, you cannot beat the power of walking into a place and putting a face to a name, shaking a hand, because it's just a rare thing nowadays. And kudos to Mike for getting a great hire, it sounds like, for his business, because he just sort of reached out and walked into an office that was nearby. So, all right, Dimitri. Unlocking Dimitri.
Todd, can you hear me?
I sure can. How are you?
Okay, excellent. I'm good, thanks. If you remember from that initial call, we talked when I signed up. My background, I'm a Salesforce consultant. I work for large corporations, and I got into Infusionsoft a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So my issue is I have, at the moment, two or three projects spanning between a month and 6 months. The 6 months is really just, I'm kind of a full-time employee, but I'm a contract, really. So I have to be in the office, and the company sort of hired me. If I go instead with Infusionsoft sales model, or even if I sell myself, I have to spend 6 hours a day on the phone to perhaps sell into a $2,000 to $5,000 program, kind of a initial setup or customization. Whereas being hired as employee, I'm getting paid, on average $100 an hour, turns to be on average, $1,000 a day. So it's a really good moneymaker. But I'm hating the doing of the job now.
Yeah.
So so far I've been only thinking kind of Infusionsoft marketing / CRM, and I am not liking it right now. So I'm almost on the verge of, just I have to just go into a different market completely.
Okay.
And I don't know sort of if that's the right decision, if there's any way around it, or what I should get into.
Well, that's a big loaded question, Dimitri.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if it's something you can just solve on a quick phone call, but like what do you think is the solution here?
Interesting, kind of, as I was listening, kind of, even for me, I don't really have a vision for the next 3 to 5 years. Kind of,
Okay.
I perhaps don't want to run a developer or consultancy shop because there's just too much. You got to do the sales, you got to do the hiring, you got to do the implementation and all of that.
Well, just wait a second. So you're saying that based on your past experience with the level of knowledge and awareness that you had right then and there. That doesn't mean that it's going to be that way forever, right?
Correct.
Right. So like that's using the old model. The question becomes more powerful when we say, okay, if I had a newer and better model where I wasn't doing the sales, I wasn't doing the implementation, does this category of business still excite me?
Right, and
does helping small businesses or medium-sized businesses automate their sales and marketing and operational side of their businesses so that they can scale and grow themselves? Does that excite me so that they can accomplish goals? Yes or no?
Right. So kind of, I haven't been working on exciting projects. It's either been small business that can't really afford for me to fully help them with everything, or it's been the large corporations where the projects are not going anywhere. They just have a budget, so they hire somebody.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not a market. So it's not a what you're doing thing. It's a what you're doing by proxy of the type of clients that you have.
Right.
Right. Okay. Two very different things.
Yeah. So and I'm kind of sitting on the fence whether I should go find some interesting clients and interesting projects to work with, or try to completely do different thing, kind of start up a commerce shop, or something. And even if my outcome of these 90 days is to find that thing that I want to run with moving forward, kind of, what would you suggest the next steps I should have, kind of going out to the market and actually looking for problems to solve? Kind of, what do you think? What would be the initial steps in even the dream out phase
of the e-commerce side of things?
Of anything. So entrepreneur who is trying to leave the job world.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would take a look at, if you don't pick a market, it can be a little bit tough to go and validate something. So is there a market out there that you want to go serve, that you love, that you feel that you have a real kind of attachment to? Like, do you love the golf market? Do you love some sort of market that's out there? Or, when you think about who you get excited about talking to, who is that person? Is there sort of a who out there? Like, is it other entrepreneurs or whatever the case is? That could influence.
Yeah, other entrepreneurs, really.
Okay. And then, so if you just sit with all of those types of markets that you like, or people that you like to talk to or serve, or whatever the case is, I might start there. But I mean, you're always going to start with, what's a problem that I can solve? Here's a mistake that many people make, and that is that they say, okay, well, what are the competencies and skills that I've developed that I can go take to the market and then sell to other people, as opposed to what are the problems that are out there and then how can I come back and solve them for people. Some of the wealthiest people on the planet have started out with the second question, not the first question. The first question typically gets you a job. The second question buys you a job. Like, I mean,
Right.
you end up getting into a consulting or coaching practice or something like that isn't really entrepreneurialism. It's a practice. It's not an entrepreneur, I don't think. I sort of divide the two up.
Right. So what do you think kind of 1 or 2 tasks I can do in the next couple of weeks to go out into a market and look for problems?
Well, I mean, if I was in your position, no, I don't have all the baggage around not liking the automation side of things, but I would probably leverage that because that industry is only going to be growing. It's only growing. Marketing automation, systems, data, all that stuff is only getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Denying market growth is a silly thing. So I would possibly go out and start talking to, asking questions wrapped around, just navigating the online space. What frustrations and problems do people have with that? Or automation and systems, things that you already have a really good experience in. Mm-hmm. You might be able to build software out of that. You might be able to build e-commerce out of that. You might be able to build a consulting practice out of it. Who knows? Don't pencil yourself into it or pencil yourself into a corner by thinking of the solution ahead of time. That's usually where people go wrong. They're like, I got a solution for something, and let's get it. I want to get curious first about what the real needs are. Right. So whether that's engaging, and so tactically, whether that's engaging in Facebook groups, whether that's reaching out to your existing network of people saying, hey, Todd, I'm thinking about a new business direction, but before I even make any steps in that direction, I'd love to talk to you because you have, quite a bit of experience, and just interview you a bit about your experience and your corners. Not issues necessarily, but just what are some of the pain points or frustrations that you have with regards to systems and automation?
Okay.
Got
it. Yeah, gonna appreciate that. Hopefully I'll get somewhere in the next couple of weeks.
Well, not hopefully. You either set the goal or you don't set the goal.
Right. Okay.
But I mean, it can totally be part of your 90-day year. Like, I mean, maybe you do have an answer at the end of 90 days as to whether or not you move forward on another venture or something like that. A lot of people in the last program went that very route.
Right.
Okay. And if you have questions about it, fire it off in the Facebook group. Okay.
Will do. Yeah. Thanks.
Cheers to you. All right. Just want to look at some questions that came to possibly. Janelle, if you send 1 email a month and you're concerned about overwhelming people, you're not. What's considered an appropriate number of emails to send per month? Here's the answer. Test. You test. You test. You test. One a week. Reality is you just take a look at unsubscribe rates versus subscribe rates versus, and really it's about sales, not even unsubscribe rates. I mean, if I keep on sending more and more emails and sales keeps on going up and up and up, you know what I do? I keep on sending more and more and more emails. That's how that works. Will the Facebook group continue after the 90-day course is complete? Mark, yes, it will. It's available forever. Okay, Anita. I know that there's a couple other questions here, but Anita's waiting patiently on the line, so I'm going to unlock her.
Hello?
Hello, Anita.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right. I have maybe a question for some of us that are smaller entrepreneurs. I'm relatively new to this entrepreneur business.
Smaller in that you're short?
Yeah. Being that I'm working on my own, and I'm a new entrepreneur, and I'm sort of in that category of not knowing what I don't know. Okay. So I am a teacher in my day job, and I've actually officially scaled back. I'm going to be part-time this fall so that I can focus on my new business, which is a photography business. Okay. And being part of the service industry, And since I'm the sort of core part of it, and it's local, I'm trying to establish for myself two things. One is, what's the best tools for marketing? And then I have a vision for myself where I could see myself perhaps, because of my teaching past, getting into workshops or online courses and so on, thinking in the future of ramp up, scale up. And so I'm really pumped, but I'm feeling a little bit befuddled as to the best direction to go, because so much of the conversation is about focusing so much on people that are far away from you. I have to focus on people that are close enough that I can photograph.
Yeah, for sure. So, because my business originally started out the exact same way, there was essentially two areas of focus that I had that I only cared about ever doing. One doesn't really apply to you. So one of mine was speaking. I'm leveraging a skill set that I know I'm very good at, or I'm very comfortable with. Not that I was still good at it when I started. I'm a lot better than I was then, but comfortable on stage, I mean, it's like sitting in this chair. It's no big deal to me. And so I did a lot of speaking. And then the second one, which is really the one that applies to you, is finding tangential, parallel people who have your customers that you can partner up with, develop relationships with, for referral relationships and things like that. So it's about getting out there and meeting people, essentially. Right. So, but for yours, I mean, your natural kind of lens of going and thinking about, doing workshops, that's a smart play because you're a teacher. You've got the skill sets that 99% of all the people that are on the interwebs selling programs don't have.
Yeah, and that's why I'd like to leverage that, and that's what I'm pretty excited. But I'm still kind of in the dreaming stage of that one.
Yeah. So, and I mean, Erin Brule, who's in the program, is a good example of, she's not the technical person in the business that she's in. She has a partner who is the technical, expert, but Erin runs all the business back end, the marketing side of things, in cahoots with her. So, not cahoots, but like in partnership with her. So, depending on your level of skill with marketing, you could find someone as well, possibly. Or you could learn it yourself just through, just like anything, through trial and error, so far and so forth. But I mean, what's your market? Who are you going to be serving? Like, what photos are you taking?
I've split myself into two different streams. I've got two different websites going. One of them is with headshots, and it's going extremely well. I got my SEO ranking, and it's been very, very steady. And that's the reason I felt comfortable scaling back on the teaching job. But where I want to try and move into is families. But being in Canada, that's very seasonal. Yeah. With fall probably being the peak season. So that's one of the reasons I signed up for this course, was to kind of position myself so that I could take advantage of maximizing the number of shoots that I would do this fall.
Okay. So who has families that are in your area?
I'm sorry, in what sense?
Well, that's the sense. Who serves families? Where do families congregate and go to?
YMCA, like a fitness clubs.
Okay.
Just trying to think. The movies.
What if you did a partnership thing with the YMCA during family swim time, where you set up a little vignette in the corner of the thing, and you could do like funny like family swim photos where they're doing like crazy faces in their swimming gear, whatever. But that's one way to engage with your clientele. And then when they walk away, and it's all free, you're just doing it because the YMCA has done the hard job of bringing in the people that you want to talk to, which are families.
Okay.
Okay, so you go to them and say, hey, I'm just starting up a new family-themed photography business, and I'd love to, free of charge, come in. I think it'd be like a really kind of fun thing to do in conjunction with you, where during people's swim time, we can, I'll take, I'll set up a backdrop and vignette, and, mom and the kids, or dad and the kids, or mom and dad and the kids can all do like some sort of fun family swim photo thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. So I've got the ideas. I'm thinking like the local golf club, those kinds of places too. There might be a possibility to. So basically
Totally.
looking for those relationships.
Exactly. And and there's a lady that's in the inside of the last program who absolutely adore her, Pamela. I don't even know what her age is. She's sort of anyone that's in the last program would know, Kim and Laura, and would know that she is a bit of a mystical dragon. She's a very funny lady, but she does furniture painting in Detroit, and I encouraged her to strike up a relationship with Ace Hardware, and now she's doing tons of workshops with Ace Hardware in and around Michigan.
Amazing.
And and she's pushing. I'm going to say pushing 70. I hope she would. I hope she's not like way less than that. But she's not going to watch this anyway. So what does it matter? And that's kicked off a whole new venture for her.
Amazing.
It's such low hanging fruit to me to strike up like local relationships, especially when you're in that business like you. It's
okay.
And I mean, and you positioning it in a way, and I mean, them saying, I mean, they're going to look at you like, okay, well, what's your angle? And just say, here's the simple angle. You guys have done the hard work of, I mean, you guys have the clients that I like. So it's just my way of getting my name out there, essentially, and I'd love to do that for free in conjunction with. And then maybe you do it, and you go to the YMCA, and you're like, well, bloody hell, this clientele sucks. They don't have any money to spend on family photos. You're like, okay, lesson learned. I'd much rather spend 3 hours at family swim time and the 4 hours it took me to total setup and get that answer and get that learning experience under my belt to make me better for the next one. So then I go to the golf, and maybe Sundays is when a lot of families come out and do golfing together. Perfect. Let's do a couple of shots on the golf course.
Fantastic. Now, if I want to position myself for the future, for things like workshops or online courses, should I be working now to try and build some sort of following with an email list, or is that something that I should wait?
Sorry, say that again.
I'm thinking to the future of looking to build up, whether to do workshops or online courses or something to that effect. Should I be working now, because keeping in mind the 90-day year, to start building up an email list, or should I have my product first?
It never hurt. No, you don't need your product first. It never hurts to be building up your email list, but 80% of my energy would be to be launching. If that's your angle, is to build up a local photography business, then 80% of my effort is going to go into that, and then the other 20%, the other hour a day I might have, would be going towards possibly building up the email list. But I mean, at the end of the day, the only way you build up an email list anyway quickly is you got to be offering something to someone.
Right.
No one just opts into a website because you put up a website and there's a little email box on the side saying, "Hey, if you want news and updates, put in your email."
I already have an ebook. I already made an ebook and I've already started, but I just haven't had much success yet. So I'm just trying to decide whether to put more effort into it. So I've taken enough of your time. I'm sure there's lots of other questions, and so thank you so much.
But I mean, at the end of the day, you haven't had much success with it. There's many reasons as to why. Is it the name of the book itself? Is it the opt-in bribe? Is it the type of traffic that's coming? They're not even interested in the ebook that you're trying to give away. Are you talking to the wrong people? All that kind of stuff. So, again, here's the mistake, by the way, everyone, that I'm seeing in the program. A lot of you guys aren't getting feedback on some of your marketing materials, and I don't understand why you're not doing that. The last group was way better at it. And not to it's not about putting you guys down, but leverage the fact that you've got a whole bunch of eyeballs and ask the question, hey, this is what I'm thinking about putting out there. Now, this isn't about, I don't allow, self-promotion. But if you're getting honest feedback on something, then put it in there. Hey, what does everyone think of this? Now, here's the thing. Be very careful with how much of that feedback you take to heart, because anytime you get feedback from people who aren't your target market, they might not understand the why behind it, but still, it never hurts to have, because there's a lot of very smart marketing people in here.
Fantastic tip. I'll make sure I take advantage of that.
You're welcome, Anita.
Take care. Thanks so much.
Let me know when you book some family portraits.
I will.
Bye. Okay, Erica, before I get to you, I'm going to answer a couple of questions that are inside the chat area. I got to scroll back up. Okay, Carrie Morgan. Lots of questions and a Todd. Thank you for that. Makes it very easy to find the comment. So my question is, my company is launching a product while I'm going to the industrial near side of my prototype. Should I be branding or pre-sale this to gain awareness, even if it may be 6 to 8 months out, like the movie launch? The product is turning a chair into energy builder to keep the nerves engaged. Sitting is turning into the new smoking for Americans. What a great, I love this product. Great idea. Big need for it, I know. Are willing to pay for it? Are they willing to pay for it? We'll see. But yes, absolutely go into pre-launch mode. Think about Kickstarter. The majority of those products don't come out and get into people's hands for a year. I supported one almost 2 years ago, and it still hasn't come out yet, which just reminds me that I need to do some checking up on that. But yeah, the pre-launch is just as important as the pre-launch, because the pre-launch can help you engage people, can create a great dialogue with people, helps people feel like they're a part of the company even that much more. Like just a very simple example, in Blacksburg, Virginia, which is the most connected city in all of America, a restaurant that was getting launched there back in like 2009, 2010 was using their, and this is back when the Facebook fan page where people were a friend actually showed up in people's news feeds. They were constantly, while going through the construction process, talking about, hey everyone, this is a new floor plan that we're looking at. What do you think? Should we go with this one where the bar is over here, or should we put the bar here? We're thinking this one because it's going to help with like traffic flow, but what do you think? Because we've got windows over here, and well, so they did that. And then they were like, okay guys, we're just going through all the different fabric swatches that we're going to put on chairs. There's some really cool leathers that we're looking at. What's your favorite color? And I mean, by the end of it, when they launched their restaurant, they had lineups around the block, and this is a good example of just in a local market. So there's no reason why you can't be engaging people at all about an awareness side of things, and whether that's blog posts, whether that's talking on authority blogs, whatever the case is, doing podcasts. You can build up your authority ahead of time so that when your thing launches, people will opt in, and then you can help them ahead of time. Okay, let's scroll down. Riki, you said New York City. Todd, can you please share some more details about what we're actually going to be doing? How? No way, that's top secret stuff. I could never divulge that kind of stuff. How much mindset, biz, 90-day stuff, training versus social and other stuff, etc. A big portion of that event is going to be me going through this 90-day year. Like, I mean, I could tell you know what, I'm going to teach you guys a whole bunch of brand new stuff, but here's what I know. You guys are still not very competent at it, and nor should you be, by the way. So I'm going to be talking about, yes, mindset stuff inside of business. I'm looking at possibly bringing in a couple of other sort of guest experts just to do like maybe Q&A type style things from the stage, but not very much, because I want people to be walking out of that. The promise is that you're walking out of that weekend with a brand new map for your next 90 days, because that matters more than just going to some freaking event and learning a bunch of concepts about marketing or whatever the case is. It's more important to have things done and working in your business. You guys need to start valuing time more. Going to these events where people are just, there's a new speaker every single hour it's so not worthwhile. The only thing that's typically worthwhile at those events is the networking. That's the only reason you go to those things, is just building up a network. So for this event, and I'm not the type of person that when I run a workshop, it's 7 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night, and you go back to your room and you're super exhausted. And by the way, the reason that companies do that, so just so you know, the seminar business, the reason that they do that to you is because it wears out the frontal lobe in the brain. Just cognitively, it wears out the frontal lobe. And then on the very last day, so resistance starts to break down, because the frontal lobe is all about deductive reasoning power and your ability to sort of judge and make good decisions. And so on the very last day, when they actually pitch you on some sort of program, you're so mentally exhausted that it's very easy to sell you into something. That's why they do it. Whether that's Millionaire Mind Intensives with T. Harv Eker and a whole bunch of other people that are in the online space. I don't appreciate that. I typically like to hang around with people who are far smarter than that, because you end up getting low value clients and customers. So my event will be pretty much 9 o'clock until probably 4:30, with an hour or an hour and a half in there for lunch, probably 9 o'clock to 5 maybe. But I can go through in 2 days and get you guys ramped up for your next 3 months. So there's going to be lots of socializing time, and opportunity to see, obviously, New York City, because some people have never been here before either. But yeah, I mean, I don't have like the full agenda, but that's kind of the gist of it. Hopefully that helps, Riki. Okay. Erica, unlocking you. Dimitri, can we bring a guest to the New York City event? And Susanna, yes, you did miss the dates. It's September 18th, 19th, and 20th. 18th isn't anything to do with workshop. That's pretty much just going to be like a mixer type thing. So like just where we can clink a couple glasses, say hi, do some break dancing, you know, just the regular stuff. And then business partner wise, yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much going to say yes to that. We do just need to cover off, it would just be like the cost of bringing that person to the event. So hopefully that helps. Erica, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
I sure can. You've got a very lovely voice.
Oh, thank you. My question is regarding an outcome goal.
Okay.
One of my main goals surrounding the 90-day year was to like more focus, different mindset, free up some time so I can grow sales, get more customers, etc. But I'm having trouble attaching a number to make it like achievable. Does that make sense?
Sure. And you know what? It's hardwired into your DNA, Erica.
What do you mean?
Females typically aren't very good at setting outcome type goals because you're just cognitively, you're very process driven. And I'm not saying this has nothing to do with like, you know, sexism or anything like that, because men are fantastic at setting outcome goals. It's just that they set them way higher than they could ever achieve because our egos get in the way and we think to ourselves, well, of course in 6 days I can build a $10 million business. So it's kind of hardwired. But what is that's what I mean by that. So what is your kind of goal-ish for the next, what's your focus?
Is to create more of like a schedule, to be more organized, because I'm one of those people that I've got stuff everywhere. I know what's there, but if I had someone come in, say an assistant or someone to help, they'd be like completely lost. And for some reason, I'm having a really hard time getting over this hump. Like, I know this is what I have to do. I just can't seem to get myself to do it consistently. And so changing that way of working is one of my goals. But like I said, I don't know that I have like a number to make it actually achievable.
Okay, so that's a behavior thing that you want to change.
Okay.
That's not a goal. Like anytime you're taking a look at changing like leadership isn't a goal, it's an all the time thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so it's just important. It's like developing skills. I don't typically, I can think of it like a goal, but I don't classify it in the outcome performance process category side of things. I'm looking for consistency on it. So for you, I mean, even for you, like even this example of, you're talking about being more consistent with your days, right? Like working on high value things, right?
Yeah, because so for the last week, I've been doing the schedule with the numbers and everything, and I'm seeing it's like so clear to me how I'm spending so much time on the $10 things.
Yeah.
And how the context switching is killing my time. Where was I going? Just so I've been seeing it more clearly that that's something I need to change. I just feel like it's such a big thing, so I thought it needed to be a goal, but I guess not.
Yeah, I don't see it as being a goal. It's just it's an intention for how you want to start showing up differently, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then, like, what are some of those activities that keep on showing up in that $10 area for you?
Well,
And by the way, everyone, I mean, this is the beauty of the program. The byproduct that spits out the other end of you working the 90-day-year system, working the entrepreneurial scorecard, and then taking a look at the product protocol as well, which comes up in a bit, delivers for you systems and processes. Because the very act of creating a 90-day-year goal is actually almost creating a process and a system for something. So after you've fleshed it out great, you can then hand it off to someone else to start executing for you. The same thing goes for the entrepreneur scorecard. The more and more that you see all of those $10 tasks adding up and filling up, you now know what those first activities are that you need to be offloading onto your executive assistant, onto your director of marketing, whoever that might be, or your operations person, whatever that hire might be. So, hello, Erica.
Hi, I just figured out how to do this. Okay, so most of it is like correspondence, sewing, all the stuff, handwork, all the same kinds of things that I know, and this is just for today.
Okay.
And
so when you say sewing, sewing what?
Clothes. So actually making the products myself.
Making the products. Okay. It goes hand in hand with. Okay, yeah. This is actually. I'm thinking about actually a coaching call that I had, but that no one would have heard that because it was a private coaching call. So, yeah, you start, but the more that you do the scorecard, you're going to start to see the consistencies of these things that are showing up. Now, are you at a place right now where you can bring in someone to help you?
I have an assistant. She's on vacation. So
okay.
I thought about bringing somebody on for the 3 weeks that he's gone. But I guess just my normal habit of saying, well, then I have to train her, and is it worth? I might as well just do it myself, and then here I am.
Okay.
And then I have a seamstress that I try to offload as much to as my budget can afford.
Okay. Okay. So you have a marketing problem then.
Okay. I feel like I can.
Why I'm saying that. Yeah, why I'm saying that is because if you have more money coming in, more demand coming in, then you can have a seamstress do hopefully all of that work for you.
Correct.
Yeah. So how much of the activities does your assistant take care of that are marketing-esque?
None.
None? Okay. Is she running at full capacity?
She. Okay.
So the answer is no.
Okay.
She's not. She's not, because you would have said, "Oh, yeah, I have her overworked right now."
Yeah, no, I don't think I have her overworked.
Yeah, yeah, and typically most people don't. So, yeah, getting to your point though around your focus isn't the goal. What you probably, and again, I talked about this during the launch series, is focus isn't a fix, and the cause is goals. And I mean, you can just think about that in the, like when you started, like when you bought your vehicle for the first time, did you start to notice all the other vehicles that were out there that were like it?
Mhm. Like,
of course.
like
I mean,
car?
your car.
Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, like, I mean, if we go out and buy a Honda Civic, we start to notice all the other Honda Civics on the road, and we're like, man, there's a lot of Honda Civics, or there's a lot of black Honda Civics, or there's a lot of gray cars that are out there. Why? Because it's important and relevant to you. That's why goals are so important, because it creates importance and relevance in our heads. And now, because I mean, our brains, like everyone, I mean, I haven't taught this stuff to you guys, but from a mindset perspective, your brain's sole responsibility is to essentially protect you from looking like an idiot to yourself. That's it. And so what does that mean? Because it sounds like a funny statement, but if you think about it, have you ever lost your glasses or your sunglasses or your keys? I mean, we've all done it, and some of the times our glasses could be on our foreheads, or our keys could be in our pockets, or they could be even in our hands. And what's actually happening is it's the way that we communicate it to ourselves. If I say to myself, I can't find my keys anywhere, the brain, because it's there to protect us from looking like an idiot, goes and literally says, okay, he can't find his keys. So what I'm going to do, what we need to do, everybody, the system's in this guy's head, is we need to deaden the nerve endings in this person's hands so that they cannot feel that they've got keys in their hands. And even if they look in their hands, we need to build a blind spot so that they can't see it. And because we don't see with our eyes, the eyes take in information, we see with the back of our visual cortex. And in between our eyes, the lens, and the visual cortex, there's a whole bunch of filters that the information from our eyes passes through. Based on what we're focusing on or what we're telling ourselves, the brain needs to cancel out all of the external information that has nothing to do with what it is that we're trying to look for, and create the image on the back of it. So if I say I can't find my keys, and I'm frustrated I can't find my keys, the eyes see the keys, but the visual cortex doesn't, because the brain needs to protect us from looking like an idiot. That's why the nerve endings in our foreheads get deadened when we say we can't find our glasses, and then someone comes along and says, you idiot, the keys are in your hand, or the glasses are on your head, or whatever the case is. So why am I saying all this? Well, because goals create the focus in the back of our head. The moment that we establish a very specific and clear goal for ourselves, we're starting to leverage the power of what this thing is here to help us do. And I was talking to, Jenny about this today, that I think that really the best entrepreneurs need to work on. This is one of the skills we need to be working on, and I see this in the program, and that is the quality of the questions you ask yourself are going to determine the quality of your business, the quality of your life, the quality of your leadership, and so on and so forth. And I think most people ask themselves really bad questions. And I even see it in the group. Some of you are coming in and asking these really, really big, broad questions, and I get it. You kind of want to solve this big thing, but you're not going to get a good answer from me or anyone else without being really specific and possibly thinking through it on your own, and you say, hey, I'm really struggling with how to build an email list. Here's what I've heard as being like 3 options that people should use. I'm thinking about using one of these options, but I'd like to get everyone else's feedback. I love helping those people because it shows that you've put in the effort of thinking through what this problem is. What doesn't typically work for people is coming in and saying, hey everyone, does anyone know how to build a 100,000 person email list? I mean,
Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, there's literally 115,000 different ways that you could do that. So getting back to this, yes, focus is the thing that you're looking for. But if you just work, you're not going to master this 90-day year thing in the first 6 weeks, the first 8 weeks, maybe even as well. But if you just get good at learning to set specific goals for yourself that are really solving a problem for you right now. So maybe scaling your business and having consistent marketing efforts or revenue coming into the business is a real problem for you right now, then let's solve that by a great outcome goal. And that would be, by September 16th, 2015, I will have monthly revenues of blah, put number in, $15,000 per month coming into the business. Okay, now what's my strategy? So what are the performance strategies? Because again, like I have inside the 90 year, I talk about strategies and tactics, performance and process. They sort of overlap on top of each other. So your performance strategies for those things are going to be what? And then what's the milestone that I'm going to set to try and achieve it in the next 2 weeks?
So when you say in 2 weeks, if the outcome goal is further out, do you set new performance goals based on how those ones are doing?
Yes, that's how we're inching ourselves forward. Totally. Yeah, you got it. You totally got it. And
Okay.
here's what happens is maybe in the 2 weeks we actually achieve one of those performance milestones, and we just want to start maintaining it. So we hit the number of like we want to start averaging, 15 client meetings per week. Let's just say that's the thing. Well, I don't have the capacity to take on more than 15 client meetings per week, so I want to maintain that number. And inside the app, by the way, everyone, we are going to change the performance goals so that it's not always improving to a number, that once you reach a certain threshold, you want to maintain it. Okay, so we're going to have that option for people as well in one of the next iterations. But yes, and then maybe we add another performance goal, or maybe that performance strategy doesn't even work, and so we turf that one and we move on to another type of strategy. So
cool.
Good to go? Okay,
Yeah,
you feel better?
thank you.
Yeah. No, you're welcome, Erica. Yeah, you're welcome. And if you got other questions, just throw them in Facebook, okay?
Awesome, thanks.
You bet. Bye. Okay, Alyssa Marshall, you've been waiting patiently. I'm unlocking you. Just making sure that there's no other questions. Ms. Westwood, no, we do not have where the event is going to be yet. We're still working with a lot of different places to find out who can accommodate us. But at the end of the day, like, it's kind of tough to juggle this because people are asking if they can bring business partners. We have your group that's coming, plus we have the past 90-day year group as well. So you're going to meet all those cool people in the program. So we could have 200, we could have 400. So it's tough to judge. Alyssa, are you there? I see that you're there, and then is your audio muted or turned off? Well, I'll wait for her to try and figure that out. Jeanette, thank you for that. I will reach out to USC and see if we can't implement this. Mark, there we go. Alyssa? I can't hear you, by the way. Is there anything to do with your audio settings, possibly? Mark, to answer your question, yeah, we're going to take a look at live streaming the event as well, and so that people can watch it live, but we'll have the recordings as well, so that people can consume that when they can. So Alyssa, I'm going to just take back the voice. If you want to try and work on that and then raise your hand again, that's fine, or just type in your question. Sorry. Ian, Mr. Real Estate.
Hey, Todd, are you there?
Good, Ian.
1, 2, 3. Can you hear me, Todd?
Yeah, I can hear
Hello?
you.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, so I'm going back to my outcome goal is to really generate the $20,000 a month from my startup real estate business. Now, prefacing the fact that I do have considerable experience on it, but like I've been in the real estate sector for a long time. So I'm using videos, and I'm sort of in this headspace where I want to be transparent with people and accountable to them, but it's kind of a new realm for me. So I've got a fairly established marketing funnel. I have local ads a couple times a month. I have direct mail. I have newsletters to go out to various clients. But I don't want to look like a know-it-all, but I have to communicate like I get it. So that a lot of people, like in country real estate, you know, there's a lot of hackers out there, and I've really got a bit of an issue about saying, listen, you know, I'm a guy that has experience and knows what you need to know before you buy, or knows what needs to be communicated before you sell. But I've got a little bit of an impasse in not looking like I'm arrogant. And I've had that type of comment before, like, you know, you're kind of a big guy and you're a little bit loud and geez, you know, like you're a little bit overwhelming. And so now when I'm doing the videos, which is kind of the strategy to go out there and sort of create presence around this niche area of about 60,000 homes, 60,000 residents, I don't want to look too brassy. And so I guess the question is specifically, do I just kind of give the information away and say, well, this is what you need to know about wells and septics and zoning and country properties and how not to buy a house next to a gravel pit? Or do you say, well, no, come to me because I'm an expert in my field and I'll tell you the information later, which might look like, hey, I'm just chest thumping. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 because then, like, you're really transparent. Once you put it out there, you know, people are going to judge you, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's the whole point is like, you want to be judged. That's what your goal should be. Like, that's my goal. I mean, even I tell our customer care team, like, we went through like the number of, you know, haterpreneurs that were out there that sent in just lovely comments about Todd and I laugh at it. I mean, I think it's funny. Now, I think it's funny because I just don't care. I literally do not care what other people, like, what the narrative in their head is about Todd, because I know who I am, my clients know who I am, the people inside this program know, you know, who I am and stuff like that. So I'm not there to, plus I've worked with pro athletes for just decades now. And I mean, the vitriolic stuff, you need some mental toughness. If you're going to start shipping stuff out, I mean, that's the point of being an entrepreneur. Now, to get to your point though, no, you give value up front. You don't, if you try and do, because you have no control over this stuff anymore. That's the great thing about the nature of the business world and consumerism that we have nowadays is the consumer has the power. And if you're not going to give them the answer to that, if you phrase the question in a way, they'll just go type the question into Google and find it somewhere else. So instead, why don't you just be the guy who is friendly on camera and provides really good quality information? I have a law firm in Edmonton that I've worked with for a very, very long time, and they give all of their content away for free. They didn't want to build out an email list at all, you know, and even though we advised them against it, and they have, I think since we started working together about 3 and a bit years ago, they've 10x'd their business. And it was very, very easy to do. And all that we did was just build out some really good content, which we just asked people, hey, like, what are the issues that you have around? And they're now the biggest real estate firm or biggest law firm in Edmonton for real estate agents or real estate people. That's where they get a ton of their business from. And it was just answering just common questions that people could really go find anywhere else, but they just happened to like deliver it in a way that was more palatable. So then if you go, so you're trying to build a list, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to accommodate to, you know, kind of create that meta cloud around me so that when people search, you know, to use a realtor in real estate brokerage in Caledon areas north of Toronto, say that my name comes up. So, you know, it's basically my online marketing strategy is to create enough video blogs. There's enough buzz around me that I'm going to get invited in to create a perspective on the sale of their house, right?
Yeah. So then you list out all of the questions that people have or the concerns that people have with regards to buying real estate, you know, condo fees, condo associations. Like, there's so many different topics that you can talk about, and you just put that content out there in a very friendly tone. You say, and you can have a call to action at the end saying, hey, if you have more questions about this or it didn't answer your question, feel free to reach out to us at, you know, 604 blah 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 blah, or email us, and we'd be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, cool. So really, and I forget which author that I heard recently say it. They said that I'm not telling you to impress you rather. I'm not telling you this to impress you. I'm telling you to impress upon you that I know what I'm saying. And sometimes I kind of struggle with that, saying, okay, well, you want to show yourself as being an industry expert, an area expert, without communicating too much of an arrogant demeanor around you. But yet, you got to create enough buzz, enough noise to stand above the crowd and say, no, I get it. And I'm capable of doing this for you, and I'm desiring to do it for you. So call me first, without seeming just like an arrogant SOB. So it's kind of a catch-22 for me, and maybe it's because the video is new, whereas you've been sort of just from what you're telling me is that you've been able to communicate well on stage for years, and this is very comfortable media for you, whereas it's kind of new for me.
Yeah, but you're viewing you're mixing up a whole bunch of your own personal beliefs with the media that you're using. You're somehow in your head you've connected that someone who is willing to actually put their information on a video must think of themselves as some sort of I'm better and smarter than other people. And I might not be articulating exactly how you might be believing, but that's kind of that's what you're saying without saying it. Honestly, is that you're thinking that you're better than other people simply because you're putting out content, and that's not it at all. If you share your knowledge about something that has to do with a real estate purchase, and I was concerned about that thing, I'm not thinking that you're arrogant. I'm like, oh, okay, well, here's someone who actually knows their stuff. That was really, really helpful. I wonder what else. And then I look on the page, and you have 46 other videos all talking about various subjects. The quantity of the information says, holy shit, this guy knows his stuff.
Okay.
Or it seems he knows his stuff. And he comes across in a really nice and engaging way. It's, hi everyone, it's Ian Amos here from, Amos Realty. And today, one of the questions I get asked all the time is, what are the benefits of going into a new development versus the negatives? Who's it for? Who's it right for? Who's it not right for? Who should avoid it at all costs? So let me get into those questions today. Blah, blah, blah. And then maybe you have like a little video bumper that goes in, which is like a little logo flashes in for like 3 seconds, and then boom, it's like, okay. So new developments, love new developments because it shows that there's growth in the area, but they're not right for all people. Here's who I think it shouldn't be right for: new families, especially really, really young families. If you're trying to train your baby, and there's construction going on, good luck with that. But just that. I mean, there's so many different scenarios. That's helpful. So
so I guess mine is
where you're demonstrating that you know your stuff is through the quantity of subject matter that you're able to talk about. You don't need to say, hey everyone, I'm Ian Amos. I'm a super duper awesome expert here in Caledonia area of Ontario. No one's better than me. I'm the best. You should definitely buy from me because I know better than everyone else. There's a lot of pretenders out there. Don't say any of that stuff. Let those other people fight about that. The people at the top would rarely ever even just concern themselves with those that are fighting it out at the bottom. You're just deliver good stuff. So here's my challenge for you. I challenge you to come up with one topic that you can talk about. I want you to record it via, what do you have? Do you have a Mac?
Oh, I have lots of equipment, yeah.
Okay, well, I don't care about the lots of equipment stuff, but just because this is going to be a beta for you, I want you to record one video that talks about a subject that people have struggled with or a question people have that are looking for a solution for, and upload it into the Facebook group for feedback.
Cool.
It's your trial run. It's not going out there on the interwebs. You're just going to start off with what your shtick might be, and then we can give you feedback, okay?
Fantastic. Okay, thanks so much.
All right, you arrogant asshole. Have a good day. See you, bud.
See you.
All right, everybody. Sorry, I missed a couple questions in here. Want to scroll back up. I got no one waiting for me in the chat box area. So I know that, Alyssa, where are you? Oh, yeah, there we go. So I'm the one that hired 4 people onto our team. I haven't set 90-day goals with each person yet. I've onboarded them all, and I'm doing daily meetings right now, which is the best thing ever, by the way. Daily meetings for 2 weeks. Good for you. Awesome. There's a lot of people that I make recommendations to that would never implement, so that's awesome. I'm not sure how to set the goals with each people and for myself. You hired for a copy, newsletter writer, blog editor, marketer, and social media. These are all the things that I couldn't do because of limited time, but I tried to juggle them all and did a horrible job. Okay. What is the purpose? What are you trying to get known for in the marketplace, Alyssa, in your space? That's where I'd be trying to create some sort of goals around. So, for, let's say, for like the definitive guide for for finding a mentor, the goal of that could be for me, so that when someone thinks about mentorship, Todd Herman's name automatically comes up because he's the guy who talks about it, and it's helped him out tremendously. Plus, he has this really great model or idea of how to think of mentorship, or what I also call apprenticeship as well. So, what is the point of all those people inside your business? Is it to get more leads? What is it? And that's where you're going to be structuring your goal around. So ultimately, because that's a marketing-esque, get more subscribers for the subscription. Okay. So then what's the goal? Stationary subscription box. So am I correct in saying, so this is kind of like a Birchbox where people get stationery sent to them maybe once a month or something like that, Alyssa? Great. Okay. So I would be, have you created an editorial calendar yet? Editor is working on it. Okay. Now, is that the only person that's working on it, or can the rest of the team be working on that with them, coming up with ideas? Again, this gets back to that whole, when I was talking at the earlier part of the session about my relationship with the Danish oil and natural gas company on how they roll things out and get everyone, because don't think that one person has the corner on having come up with smart ideas for coming up with an editorial calendar or things to read about. Okay. Great. So that would be one. So if I'm going to have, if I'm starting a new blog, what's in the next 2 weeks? What's the milestone that I would want to get to for daily page views? And then what's my conversion rate on our opt-in areas? How do you collaborate on that together efficiently? You send out the question ahead of time to people, and you say, this all comes down to facilitation skills. And it's, hey everyone, so we're building out our editorial calendar for the next 6 months or year, whatever the number is. We're going to have a meeting on it tomorrow on ideas. Would love it in the meantime if everyone in the group did some research on other amazing blogs that are out there, possibly in our space or ones that you frequent all the time. What types of content do they put out there? And any ideas as to how we can integrate some of those ideas into our blog. So again, this comes down to the quality of the questions that you're asking your group determines the quality of the value that's going to get brought into the business. So again, your goals are wrapped around, obviously, getting leads into the business. And then it's okay, ultimately, because you're going to have to define the success of this team based on the number of subscriptions that actually pays for that team. So what's that number? So if I know that this team is now a red side of the ledger cost of $5,000 per month. Okay, I want the value that team brings into the business then based on the activity that they do to bring in, maybe $20,000 a month in revenue. Because when I factor out all the costs, that now means that they are a 2x return on the investment that I put into them. Well, no, you're right, but your page views isn't just dependent on her, but I'm talking about the entire team, because that's a marketing team that you put together. So the marketing team, the lens that I put over top of them to judge against whether or not they're being successful is possibly that. That's just one tiny metric, though. So, and Carol, I think that you were just in the Q&A area, but you dropped off. So I don't know if that was a tech issue or what. All right, bringing you back on. You're welcome, Alyssa. And again, just Alyssa, like your goals that you have for them have everything to do with the strategy that you're getting them to implement. So they're blogging. So one of the goals that you have for them is how much content are they producing per week and onto the blog. And then what type of leads are they generating based on that? Are they producing custom, definitive guides on things, or the beginner's guide to something, and things like that? Hello, Carol.
Hello, Todd. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. What's shaking in the UK today?
Well, it's the heat has finally let off a bit, so we're not sweltering as we were the past couple of weeks.
Oh, you whingers and complainers over there.
No, I'm smiling. So my question, Todd, is really just helping me to get it clear in my head. I've set myself an outcome goal to achieve 50K by the end of the 90 days.
Okay.
I haven't achieved that amount before, and I thought that would be a good stretch. And one of the strategies that I'm using to achieve that is I'm taking my blogging course, which I've done face-to-face, admittedly to a small group of people, but it's always been a good course. I've always got lots of good feedback and testimonials, and I'm taking that onto an online model. I've done a number of presentations around it at networking groups and had a fair amount of interest of people saying that they would like to buy it. And I've also done a recording of my presentation, but I've made it a longer recording so that they get a bit more value, and I've sent it to them. So far, I haven't had, and I've got I've had a sales page set up, and so it makes it all easy for everyone. But so far, I haven't had any take-ups at all. And I was just wondering really what I could do. Now, as I've been thinking about this, I thought, yeah, when did I post it? And it was on Sunday. So it's only been 3 days. But I just think, I haven't had anyone bite at all. Nobody's taken it up yet. So what do I do to start to make this happen, to help them, push them over the line?
Okay. So, just so I have this all painted in my head properly, you have a blogging course, right, that you've taught in workshops and in offline areas, right?
That's correct, yes.
And you have a list of people who've expressed interest possibly in your workshops in the past, right?
Have expressed interest in my online course. I've had people on the workshops.
Okay.
And I've had people come into me saying, when is your next course going to be? And I've said, I'm taking it online.
Gotcha. And so how many people do you have on your list?
I have a really small list. I have 250, but it's a very engaged list.
Okay. So what are the top two levers to pull in order to get people to buy stuff? And there's a right or wrong answer to this, but just based on your sales skills and sales competency, what do you think those are?
What are the top two levers to get them to buy?
Yeah, why do people buy?
Well, I would say, one is around scarcity. and one is around
Okay.
their pain, if it's going to solve a problem that they've got.
Yeah, so if we remove the whole pain side of things, because that's basically the that's obviously always the biggest one. If I've got a bleeding neck, I want that thing solved. But you're right, scarcity is one, and the other one is urgency. Okay, so which kind of gets to the whole pain side of things. Like if I have an urgent and immediate pain, I want that thing solved. And then if I find out that there's only 4 Band-Aids available at the supermarket and there's a lot of other people with bleeding necks out there, then I want to get down there immediately and get that one Band-Aid that I need. Okay? So did you implement any sort of scarcity and urgency that's natural inside the program? Meaning that, did you say, hey, I'm launching this program in beta for the first time online. What I'm doing, because it's the first time I'm launching it, I want to make sure that all the technology works just fine. So I'm going to reduce the price down from its original, what will be its selling price of $199. I'm going to do it for $99, and I'm only going to allow 10 people into the program, and it closes on Friday.
I did all of that, except I didn't say only 10 people. I said it was a one-off time special price. It would never be repeated. They were getting more of my time, which would normally be into my VIP, and that the price is only available for July. I did give them a big time frame.
It's only for all of July?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's a huge problem. Yeah. So, I mean, typically on one of those types of launches, 60% of all your buyers will come in on the very last day. Now, did you have like a fast acting bonus or something like that for people to sign up right now that went away after a couple of days or even that day?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so that's another thing.
Okay.
Did you have, like, if it was an expensive, let's just, even if it was $97, you could have had, say, over the first 3 days, I'm going to do a 3-pay option of $27. Now, I know that typically doesn't, that's not, the psychology, just so all the Americans know, anytime you're doing a program, your full pay buyers will typically come from outside of the United States. UK people, Australians, many Canadians, Europeans in general, Kiwis, they like to pay things up front. It's just our cultures. We don't like to carry debt. Whereas in America, you're encouraged to have a lot of debt. And so you don't mind doing 3 pays or 12 pays or 6 pays, whatever the case is. So for you, Carol, if you've got a typically full UK audience, you're not going to get very much of an uptick because of the 3-pay option thing. But so you could have a longer window opening, but make sure you've got scarcity and urgency fit in throughout. So something pops up as available for the next 2 days, and then it disappears. Something pops up and disappears. So it could be a payment plan pops up and then it disappears. A new bonus gets added that then disappears. So that you get the people that are going to buy anyway, that are just waiting till the very end to come in ahead of time.
That's fantastic. I haven't done that. That's really, really good. Thank you.
And then the second thing that you can do too is peel out a piece of the content and then show it to people. So it's like, hey everyone, just as a bit of a sneak peek, private access, I want to peel out one of the videos and make it like one of the best videos that you have.
Okay. So I'm doing, in my course, I'm going to do, because some of the people who've been on my course before, I've got them to write for Huffington Post, and I've worked with them on a one-to-one basis. So one of the sort of like bonus things that I've added into there is what I call the Huffington Post challenge. So would that be quite a good thing to peel out to show them, or would that be giving them too much of sort of like the gold dust?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit. What was the thing you're going to peel out?
The Huffington Post challenge.
Okay. Is it a good piece of content?
Yeah. All my content's good. I work hard.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. And then does that piece of content position, like, is there something inside that content that's referencing maybe other videos that you've been talking about, possibly? where
Yes,
it's like, because like,
yes.
you know, if you watch my secreting of the videos, I'm like, okay, everyone, now that, you know, so welcome to video 3, or I don't even think I even say that, but it's, you know, so I just talked about somewhere in that video, I might say, and in the previous video, I mentioned, you know, just the importance of blah, 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 you know, so that creates little open loops in people's heads. They're like, oh shoot, I really, you know, I love it that Carol, you know, is giving us this content, but I kind of want to know what that thing is. And people get it. Like, I mean, and it's not even salesy because they know that you just peeled out this video from inside the course. So if they were inside the course, they would have access to that thing. So it's not salesy. It's just, it's very natural for you to be communicating that. But I mean, the Huffington Post strategy, sure, why not? I mean, you know your course better than me. I'm not going to tell you what to peel out, but just peel out something.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Let me know when you get some sales coming in.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Bye-bye. Let me see, just so we're getting close to wrapping up. Carrie Morgan, Todd, thanks for your time. My outcome goal is landing 25 clients, corporate wellness, which would be a direct feed to my membership course. Example, mindful stretching session, 5 or 10-minute video. I'm a little bit confused, Carrie, about what your question is, though. Like, are you wondering if you pull out that video as a part of your membership course to give away to people for free? I'm a little bit confused. So I'll wait if you've got a response to that. And anyone else with any questions today? Otherwise, we will finito this session. Susanna, you're welcome. All right, looks like we are out of questions for the day. Great session, everybody. Hope you got a lot of value out of it. If anything else pops up, let me know inside the FB group. By the way, has everybody been getting all of our emails? Because we get questions all the time that, you know, when I send out that weekly wrap-up email, all the information that you need with like answers to the questions that sometimes people are posting inside the group is in that weekly wrap-up email. So I don't know if people have added care@toddherman.me into their email contact list area so that you get the emails, or what the case is. So, but it looks like, well, if you're here, you're probably getting the email, so I'm probably asking the wrong group of people anyway. But anyways, gang, thank you so much. Have a great rest of the day wherever you are, and I will see you on the next one. Ciao for now. Bye-bye.